Hello, my art-loving friends! Today's a very exciting day because we have new watercolors. If you've watched my previous videos, you know I'm on a no-buy, but I have not done my no-buy Q&A yet, and one of the questions in the Q&A is, will you accept free product from companies? The answer to that question is yes. This is sent to me from Lightwish. This is Marie's Masters watercolors. They did come shrink wrapped, and they are in a box with flaps, and it's hard to get this out, so I suggest you open both sides and then push them out like so. And this is what they look like in shrink wrap. They are 9mm tubes, so more generous than the 5mm at least. You can fill a full pan without using the entire tube, which is kind of nice. I was recently on a podcast with Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. I did mention to her that I was receiving these Marie's Masters watercolors, and she said that she thought I would really enjoy them. In a previous art haul, I bought this palette. It's just plastic. Opens like this. And it has exactly 24 wells, and there are exactly 24 colors here. So I thought this would be the perfect palette to use for these watercolors because I didn't really have anything else to use these for since I'm not buying new watercolors. So I'll fill this up, I'll let them dry, and we'll give them a try. All right, they are in their pans. These feel like they're holding a ton of paint, like nearly as much as a full pan. And you can see how full the tubes still are. So I did have an air bubble in one of the tubes, which of course made it squeeze out even more and have less available at the end. But it's kind of interesting because when I squeezed out these Turner pans, I did squeeze them into full pans too, but I did not fill them up very far. You can see here this is Permanent Scarlet, which is this one right here. So I guess I filled it quite a bit, and this is a 5mm tube, but it's, after shrinking, about half full. So the fact that in these 9mm tubes I have that much left makes me happy because I have a feeling I'm going to like these watercolors. I don't know yet, but it's nice to be able to have tubes available if I want to create fun mixed palettes in the future, which is my goal. I have a ton of empty palettes that hold 12 full pans I would love to make mixed palettes out of, but we'll see. I don't know if any of these colors are ones that I would want a mixed palette out of. And yeah, my hands are super dirty because I painted on a huge canvas with acrylic paints yesterday. Cannot seem to get the paint off my hands. We have a great selection, an interesting palette to try, which I will link below, and we'll let these dry first and we'll give them a try. Skip ahead by 3 minutes and 30 seconds if you want to skip this swatching. That one is Lemon Yellow, PY3, 3-star light fast, followed by Cadmium Yellow Hue, which is a PY154, a PY83, and it has a 4-star light fast, which according to this 4-star is their highest light fast rating. Next we have Cadmium Orange Hue, PY154, and PO73. We're going to follow that one up with Cadmium Red Hue, PR255. It's a very nice red. This one here is a Alizarin Crimson. It's a PR206. Nice they have that one in here. Permanent Rose is coming up next. It's a PV19 and a PR122. And the last two have been 4-star light fast rating. Next up is Crimson, PR149, and it's only a 3-star light fast rating. So pretty interesting that their Permanent Rose is higher light fast rating, but based on the pigments, that makes sense. Purple Red is this one. It is a PV19, 4-star light fast rating. And we have Brilliant Purple, PV23, 4-star light fast rating. This one is Emerald Green. It's a PG36 and a PY3 with 4 stars. My favorite green of this set, Sap Green, PG7, PY154, and PR101 with 4 stars. We're going to follow that up with Viridian, PG7, so it's a Viridian hue, 4 stars. And their phthalo green is PG36 with 4 stars. Some very bright greens in this set. I love the sap green though, it's quite pretty. This one is sky blue. It's gorgeous. It's a PB15. We're going to follow that with cobalt blue, PB29, and a PW6. Oh, PB15 was hiding in the front of that. So PB15, PB29, and PW6 with 4 stars. Then we have ultramarine, 4 stars, PB29. And this one I think is the only granulating one that I noticed in the set. We have Prussian blue, PB27. I use this one a lot and it's beautiful. Yellow ochre, 4-star light fast rating and a PY42. And boy, this one's beautiful. Followed up by burnt sienna, PR101 and a PY42 with 4 stars. Then we have burnt umber, PBR7, PY42 and 4 stars. Very nice brown. Raw umber is next with a PBR7 and a PY42, so the exact same as the one before it, obviously in different ratios. Raw umber, 4 stars. Then we do have a Payne's Gray, thank goodness, because I love my Payne's Grays. This one is a PBK7 and a PB29 with 4 stars. The black in this set is Ivory Black, 4 stars, PBK9. And there are all the swatches and how they match up in the palette. I just switched the purple. They had the purple by the blues and I just put it by the greens instead. Well, after the pinks, I should say. And then I remembered we forgot to do the white. So here it is. It's not too bad. I mean, obviously it dries less opaque than you're seeing, and that's just the one watery coat. I put a couple more drops on it there, but I do use it in opaque manners later in the video. I've used this palette in class now, and I painted this, and it's a class that I teach at CMC. We actually did this in both acrylic and watercolor, 2 different classes. My acrylic one is not finished yet. It takes me forever to paint with acrylics. So I had fun using the palette. I wet the paints down at first, thinking that I would need to be fast in the sky, even though I wet the entire sky. And I'll show you the process, not of this painting, but of the next one, which I haven't done yet. I'll do that with you guys. Thinking I would need the colors to be activated and use them quickly. I don't think I needed to though. These colors activate really quickly, so as I continued the painting, obviously the spray down I gave these paints soaked in, evaporated, went away, and I still was able to do the rest of the painting really easily. I was also able to finish the painting with my Patreon supporters, which was really fun. And we do things like that every couple of times a month or so. So if you want to see that, check out my Patreon link below. But good news on this palette is it doesn't bead up as badly as I thought it would. You can see I have some nice big puddles here that aren't beaded. I do have a couple of beaded areas. But in general, this palette is doing surprisingly well. And I didn't use this side as mixing space at all. It just fits my swatch sheet perfectly, and I tend to just use it like this and use that for mixing space. I could use this for mixing space as well. This is an image I had artificially generated, and obviously I changed some stuff. I changed the dog to look more like my Aussie, although this looks more like a full-size Aussie and mine is an in-betweeny, but that's okay. Gave him a glow, put him on the other side, changed the moon color. I like the light moon in this one, and I probably should have kept this one light, but I don't dislike it. I think it's okay. And I should have made this tree bigger. But anyway, I kept these colors bright and vibrant here in the sky and a little bit deep and dark in the mountains because I wanted to test their vibrancy and their depth. And I think that worked really well. But now I want to do a similar painting that is a lot more muted. So that's the plan now. We're going to do basically the same painting, but different. I'll be using my New York Central Art Supply block, which is what this painting was done on. And it's been fun to use so far. It is a little rougher texture than Arches or the Bao Hong cold pressed, or a little, it's not necessarily rougher, the texture is wider apart. It's spread apart wider. So I got out my circle template for the sun over there, and I'll take the kneaded eraser and lighten up the edges of those lines. And then all I do for a painting like this is kind of sketch where the edges of my mountains come off the paper and where the snow might meet up here. And then I want to do these trees a little differently in this painting, so I actually might sketch in the trees because I want to mask off some areas of these trees that I'm going to keep lighter. I'm going to really lean into the snow scene aspect of this painting here, and I also want to keep the glow around the dog a little bit bigger, so I'll be changing up a whole bunch of things. Except I've lost my pencil. So I definitely know the sun, I switched to put it over here, so I probably want a little lower mountain here, something maybe that comes up, blocks the sun a little bit, probably goes through the sun like that. Maybe comes a little bit lower in the middle, goes up high over here, and maybe comes back down with one behind it, maybe a few, probably a couple behind it here. I don't know. Look, maybe a tall one back here. All right. And then the mountains in the front, I don't need to sketch any of those lines. You may not even be able to see these lines as it is. And then I do need to make sure I get rid of any of the pencil lines within the sun because they will show through. Probably lighten some of these if they're going to be a little lighter, more muted colors than I have in this other painting. Probably need to lighten some lines. It's not a big, huge deal if the lines show through, but might as well keep it safe and keep them light. Okay, we'll mask off the sun, the edge of the dog. Do need to look up the dog. So in Google, on my phone usually, because I'm usually, I don't know, it's just easier on the phone, type in the dog that you're looking for. Let's try a blue heeler silhouette, and then that's the word I like to use for finding these. And then I click on images, because if you have the silhouette like that, that's perfect. I could do that. That would be looking like Jack. This one is actually looks like he's looking towards us, so I would need to like get rid of that paw right there, and then it would look like he's looking away. So this looks like a blue heeler, but it also kind of looks like a German Shepherd. So I'm just going to glance through some of these other silhouettes and see if there isn't one that maybe looks a little bit more like Jack. Like this one of him standing definitely looks like a blue heeler. Just have to cut his tail off. So that's kind of a cool one. Jack is a little fuzzier than this dog, so I could just add some ear fuzz to some of these. Yeah, a lot of these look like, these blue heelers are very similar in their silhouette to German Shepherds. So I think the ones up at the top are probably better. Let me look at some of these. This one's pretty good. If I get rid of these two back legs, like I could do that. Since I put, excuse me, I want you over here. I can't get it right. Maybe if I hold it like that and do a screenshot. There we go. I can use the screenshot. There we are. And I'll sketch him in. Oh, I have to make my snow line, so that's something I like to do too. So let's do the snow line kind of here. Kind of like that, maybe. We'll make this one go down actually on this side, I think. Okay, and then I grab my little silhouette. I just lost, there we go. And I sketch him in however big you want and wherever you want him sitting. So just getting rid of those bottom feet. Like say I want a tree over here, so I'm gonna put him just to the right of the middle. And I spent the next 3 minutes sketching in the dog. I left it in here just so you could see that I sketched in the dog and erased and sketched and erased, but it was not too hard. When you're dealing with a silhouette that just simplifies your shapes and lines, it's so helpful. And what I'll probably do, is walk away for a minute. Maybe go grab a refill on my water and come back and just make sure that I think this silhouette looks right. If it looks right, then I will mask it off. We should be good to go. And the reason I'm masking it off is to keep that glow around the edge of him. Okay, from my perspective here at the moment, that looks okay. Got a little bit of a big foot. There, that's better. Cool. Kind of looks like a German Shepherd and a blue heeler, which I guess is what I was saying they look like. So, oops, I was just going to put that eraser in there. No, the Ziploc is for the kneaded eraser. I'll wait to fully lighten those lines until I walk away and come back. But before I walk away, or I actually don't even have to walk away because I could mask off that moon and get that drying. So yeah, I could mask off that moon and get that drying because that's going to take a while. It's a big open space. So I'll just put a bunch of masking fluid in this moon. Do I like the size of that moon? I almost want to make it bigger, but I think we'll keep it this way for now. I can always make it bigger. It's super easy to do. And with these lighter muted colors, I probably don't even need to mask the moon off. And I think I'm calling it a moon. The other one was a sun for sure, but I don't know, I'm calling this one a moon. We'll go with it for now. If I walk away to give the doggy time to marinate, and I can come back and see if he looks right, I can also determine if I want this moon to be bigger or not. And I can also sit here and decide what kind of trees I want to do and if I am going to mask off some of those. And I pulled up some winter trees on my computer yesterday just to get some different ideas. I don't really like the dead trees. I mean, granted, in this AI image, they're not dead. There are some leaves on them. They're just really hard to see. But I wanted a slightly different style of tree this time. So I'll decide about that, and maybe that'll be enough stepping away time from this to figure out if he's okay or not. I decided my dog was fine and I masked him out, and I am just going to do the sky and try and keep this more gentle, more muted. We'll see how this goes. I'm thinking of adding white into a lot of the colors, and I want the sky to be really soft, so I will pre-wet the entire sky. This is thirsty paper. It is summer and it's hot here, and I told you the texture on this paper has the grains a little more spread out. I think because of that, it also takes the water a little bit more unevenly than some other paper. So we'll activate the white, and I want to get some yellow going and do that over here. Get some white in there. I think adding the white is going to help keep that soft look that I'm going for. Oh yeah, that's pretty. And this is one very good reason why I'm not afraid to use white, because sometimes it just works. So we'll get a little bit more of that white. It still has some yellow in it, and I realize I have a glare. I use the permanent rose. I have a glare from the studio lights. I'll try and turn them off here in a second and see if that can help. Oh, that's pretty. See, I like the softness I'm getting here. Let's see if turning the studio lights off helps. Well, you guys can see, but I can't. Wow, that was really dark in here. Maybe this will be a sun, because if I make these more muted colors like this, then it is a little bit more daylight-ish, seems to me. All right, so I have this pile of purple there. If I add a little white to that and reactivate that, oh, that's pretty. I'm liking this white addition. Get a little more pink in there. That's a little too much because not enough white. But yeah, this is looking good, and I think you can probably see how well the colors are activating. Hopefully you can see that. Get a little bit more purple. Maybe some of the Prussian blue. Nice. I don't want to get too dark because I want to keep this soft and muted. I'm not very good at soft and muted. So do my best to try and keep it soft and muted, but I don't know how well I will do. Fun stuff going. See, I'm already getting not muted, so I'm going to wipe that paint out of my brush and then just spread it out. Mute it down. So some of the mountains are against very wet areas of the painting here. And sorry, I was just thinking I might want some more Prussian blue in the sky, but I need to be careful. Not lose my mutedness. So let's see, if you add white to the Prussian blue, oh, that's pretty. Okay, let's try just a little bit of that, like here and there. Oh, that's still muted and beautiful. The white's the key here for keeping some of this still to feel more muted. Okay, that's good. We'll add some of that Prussian blue mix into the mountains, and I think that will help a lot. But we cannot play with the mountains with these big puddles of water here. So let's go down to the snow. I think for the snow, I'll grab my round brush instead. And I want to put some of these colors in the snow. I think I should wet the snow first, actually. So let's grab our flat brush again. Do not put water over, because you will drop it on your sky and ruin your sky. Ask me how I know. All right. Now our little doggy's masked, so we can paint right over him. And I did decide not to mask off the trees because I have an idea for them that I think will work okay, but we'll find out. I don't know, the trees are gonna be a little iffy the way I'm thinking of doing them. Could ruin the whole painting, but that's okay. We're just playing. Now we take that beautiful Prussian blue and white mixture, kind of put here by the dog. It has been at least a half an hour, and I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you obviously can because it's big and shiny right here. It just won't dry. So I have a couple of options. I could sop it up with a towel, but again, I don't want to ruin I have some really pretty colors in there. I could leave a small white line and paint these mountains anyway. I could just ignore it and go do something else, which I don't want to do because I would like to finish this. Or paint the mountains backwards, this way to that way, which would give me a little bit more time to let that dry. But I don't work well that way. So I do wonder did I really just get that much extra water here? Or is this part of the paper slightly damaged? That's what I don't know the answer to. I did have a lot of water there. There's no doubt about that. And then you can kind of see the pushback on the edges from where the glue is. I think maybe it just let the water bunch up there, but it's not, I mean, it doesn't look normal. That part of the painting will probably have to be cut off around the entire edge. You can't really notice it down here in the snow, but definitely the sky. So I'm not liking that about the paper, but it didn't happen on this one so much. A little bit, I guess, right there, but not very much. Probably because this was only the second sheet. This was actually the first sheet. Painting I haven't finished. But now that this glue edge is getting taller as I pull more paper off, I believe that's probably going to happen more and more. So when I pull the paper off, I may take scissors and cut this glue edge off because it is sticking up the length of the paper. Yeah, I might just cut that off before I do the painting underneath it. So keep that in mind if you have this New York Central block paper. Anyway, I don't know if it was after I took a shower, but later when that area dried, I did come back and start to paint in the mountains, thank goodness. But I decided I had been chatty enough, and now you get time lapse. This is at 1,000 times the normal speed. So you can see how careful I'm being, I guess, because it's taking a long time. I also have a pretty small brush. This is my Princeton Aqua Elite size 8 round, and I really probably could have used the size 12 just as easily, and it would have been probably a little easier to do these big spaces without having to keep going over it. And the paper is drying pretty quickly when I'm doing this, so I have to keep that in mind, but it's working fine. I just keep going with it and just trying to get the mountains really light in the background and getting darker as they come forward toward the dog. My goal is to still try and keep this a soft, muted painting, which is so hard for me, but I think that I do mostly succeed in the end. When I put the trees in later, it gets a little bit more bold, but it needed it, and so I think it's perfect, and you'll see that here towards the end of the video. So that color there is the mixture between, actually all these colors except the pink is a mixture between the purple and the Prussian blue. So you can see what a lovely variety of colors you can get mixing those two together. That's all those two colors are. And the white, of course. I have added white into almost, well, not almost, I have added white into all of these mountain color mixes. And it's once I finish the mountains here that I leave it to dry again because I want to take the masking fluid off. You can see I took it off the sun already, and I'm taking it off the dog now. And then I'm painting a nice yellow glow, and excuse all the flies in the video. We're having a little bit of a fly infestation right now. So I put a pale yellow in the sun, and of course that makes it kind of disappear as usual, putting the glow around the dog, which is my favorite part. But I bring out that sun here in a second by adding more of a yellow glow around the edges, and I just love it. I think it's so pretty. And I now know in my other painting that's probably what I should have done, because I was just unhappy with the sun, and that's why I end up painting it orange, and I just don't like it as well. But this one I love, and I bring some of that yellow into the base, not the base, but where the sky meets the mountains as well, and I think it's just a really pretty effect. And then I paint the dog mostly dark. My other dog was basically black. This is that Prussian blue purple mixture, just leaving a bigger glow around this one because I wanted a bigger glow around the other one and didn't do it. And then I just add another layer to the dog, and I work on the shadow behind him, which is really nice. Keep that soft and subtle as well. I thought I would get back to this sooner, but it is the next day because I took a picture of this with my computer here because I needed to decide what to do with trees. I want trees in this like we have in the other one. And that's a cat groaning. You gotta see this. She's upside down and it's hilarious. That's a silly kitty. Anyway, I wanted this to be just right. So took a picture of it, brought it into Photoshop, and then played with some tree designs. I wanted something a little weird and unique. And turns out I should have masked tree areas off after all. But I ended up with something like that. So that's what we're going to paint in there. Not all of it's really going to show up. I may have to bring in some gouache, but we'll figure it out. And I decided to go ahead and sketch in those trees just to be safe, just to make sure they were going to be painted exactly where I wanted them. So it's safest to sketch them first. So I spent an inordinate amount of time doing that, but I did speed this up again by 1,000%. So yeah, you can see again, probably, or you can guess again how long this took drawing this in. But I'm really glad I did, because it did allow me to take a step back and say, okay, yes, these look like they looked in the computer screen and they're looking good. That's where I want them, and all was well. So that was worth the huge amount of time sketching them in. I hate sketching things in, but you know, sometimes it's just better to do it. You just do it. And then I started painting him. So I'm mixing that same purple with the same Prussian blue and a little bit of white again, and getting just that really pretty, I think it's basically a periwinkle color. It's beautiful. And again, that purple is called Brilliant Purple. It's a PV23, and the blue I'm mixing it in is a PV27, so usual Prussian blue. And this is where things get interesting. So I'm making the light colors for the tree swirls using a lot of white, wondering if that is going to be opaque enough for these swirls to show up over the darker branches of the tree, or will I have to get gouache out? We'll have to find out. Good morning. It's the next day. Didn't expect that to happen, but I had to leave town very unexpectedly yesterday, and I didn't get back till after bedtime. So anyway, I'm also leaving town again today. So I'm going to finish this later on my own time, probably late next week, but I'll show it to you in an upcoming video. I mean, it's just going to look like this with more swirls for the trees and shadows, just like I showed you guys in the little mock-up I did on my computer. Little, maybe a couple swirls here to represent bushes or trees that are down farther. But I did want to show you with these paints 2 nights ago, I did paint this. So let me close this so it's not distracting. So I used these paints for that, and I may paint it again. Anyway, I had really beautiful water before I put the reflection in, and I think I'd like to do one where the bridge reflection, like maybe the sun is in such a way that this bridge reflection isn't really showing much in the water, but I'm not sure, I haven't decided. The water was so pretty because this palette has this sky blue color here. And if you mix that sky blue with any of these 3 greens here, you get a really pretty watercolor. So the sky blue's by itself up here in the sky, and then you can see behind the bridge how pretty it gets, although some of this gray kind of bled up into there and down into here, but right here you can see how pretty and vibrant it was on its own. So I really like this paint. This paper was better than the New York Supply paper, which I was using in the previous 2 paintings, and this is the Bao Hong paper. So Bao Hong's definitely better than New York Central, if in my opinion, just my opinion. And these watercolors are awesome. This is a great color selection. I do wish that there was an extra slot in here because I would mix one of these greens up with some yellow and some brown maybe and get, I mean, the sap green is there and that's fine, but these are just a little too much on their own. They need maybe just a touch of red actually, just to kind of mute one of these down a bit, because you don't need 3 like this color. So muting one of them down would probably be wise. The rest of the colors are great. This yellow ochre, oh my goodness, someone asked me in a previous video, because I said that I don't really like mini yellow ochres, although there has been a few that I've enjoyed. This is one of them. The yellow ochre was the entire background of this bridge, and it just had this vibrancy and transparency that was beautiful. So this brand is one of them. So these are around $40 when I looked just the other day on Amazon. I know prices change all the time, but that gives you 24 9mm tubes, and so it's a decent value. And these colors are nice, and the paint itself seems really nice. They re-wet so easily. I was impressed every time. And ironically, this plastic palette is really nice. I know it keeps clicking over here because that just keeps it out and in, but hardly beads up, and the space is really generous. You can use this side. I used a little bit for mixing space over there because I just wanted something closer. So I recommend this whole package. All right, well, I hope this was useful. Sorry you couldn't see that painting finished today, but I'll definitely show it to you in the future. I do love this one. It has a nice feel to it. Well, that's a wrap. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.